What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today, we're reacting to the final part of We Solve FNAF, and we're not kidding. I'm gonna do Major Points number 2, part 7, and one more thing about Cassidy. Other than that, nothing else to really do after it, since everything after that is just like the credits. So, I do not know what they're gonna fully go over when it comes to this. I know it's about the vengeful spirit, but what kind of points they're gonna make is kind of, well, unknown. And I'm still having to adjust to the new fact that everything that I knew before is now not what it is, and there's like this new truth that we need to consider when it comes to the FNAF timeline. This is a really screwy thing. It really is. So let's see how this one goes from here on out. If you enjoyed this reaction video, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. And if you have anything you like, a new video or whatnot that I should react to, put it down in the comment section below and I'll react to it as soon as possible. The link to this video will be down in the description below, so be sure to look into the original video to give the creators some love and support for the video that they made that I'm reacting to. Or if you want to see the original video yourself, go ahead and do that too. Other than that, let's start this video.
Newsflash, asshole! I've been
the one you should not have killed
the entire goddamn time! Then why would you say something? Because I hate you! Oh.
So, here's the thing. We discussed in part 3 how Cassidy is the name of the crying child, not a separate missing child. Does that make the crying child the vengeful spirit? It's possible. His dad is putting his spirit through a lot of shit and terrorizing quite a few people in his name. But the bits of evidence toward that pale in comparison to the idea of Michael Afton as the vengeful spirit, as the one William should not have killed. Sure, William may not have killed.
Yeah, and that's where I'm gonna have to say no. Saying that Michael Afton is the vengeful spirit just seems way out there. I mean, Michael has a lot of reasons to be vengeful, but like the whole thing with the nightmare animatronics, yeah, that's a thing, but I don't really think that's gonna be something that Michael's just gonna be completely vengeful about. I mean, is he gonna be literally ticked off or anything from ticked off to absolutely pissed off? Yes, he is. Because William's gonna be killing people for something he doesn't even know. But that's the thing. He doesn't know at first. Actually, that wouldn't make sense in this case, since he would probably feel vengeful in that way if he actually... Actually, no. To be honest, Michael as a character isn't vengeful or anything, now that I'm actually rethinking about it. No, the actual case is Michael is just someone that wants to find peace in this kind of situation. He wants to move on. He wants to find peace and all that. He's trying to redeem himself. To be vengeful is not caring about peace or just like going quietly and all that. And the way this vengeful spirit is, they are selfish. Michael Afton, throughout his whole journey, when finding out about this thing that William Afton's doing, is not trying to do that. He's trying to fix the wrongs of what's going on, find peace for himself and the others that William tormented. The vengeful spirit has to be effed off. Well, not effed off, no, pissed off and say F you to Michael Afton's idea of peace or Emily's peace and whatnot. No, this spirit has to be pissed. It has to be angry, unwilling to rest. Something completely opposite to Michael Afton's whole character. While the timeline is a bit messy, we know how these characters should act to a degree. And saying Michael Afton is this character that's the vengeful spirit, no, it doesn't really fit, since his character doesn't really fit the description of a vengeful spirit or someone who wants complete revenge. He's a character that wants peace to redeem himself and find peace for others. So there is no way in this world or in any kind of context that the games have showed us proves that Michael Afton is the vengeful spirit. Like that would contradict everything. And there is actually no proof that can honestly say it. If you say there's proof that he could, it's going to contradict the fact that, well, everything is to stop his father and basically find peace for the missing children and anyone else involved into it, including himself. He's just done with this. So, yeah.
Him directly. He may not have wielded the knife or the scooper or whatever, but the way Michael says it was right where you said it would be. They thought I was you, followed by a scoff, and just like you asked me to. This all tells me there is another thing he is certain of, that William knew this would happen.
William knew where the location was, and that he was sending Michael to his death. The animatronics wanted to kill him, and Michael looked just like him. William knew that if he went down, they would find a way to kill him. But he wanted Elizabeth put back together because she was a child he actually cared about. He did not care about Michael. He blamed him for killing Cassidy, and if again we take the Midnight Motorist minigame and questionably canon books into account, he was openly abusive towards him. So he decided just to trade Michael for Elizabeth, send him down to finish his work of putting Elizabeth together, and let the animatronics do what they will. Turns out their plan worked out just as William wanted. Michael was dead, Elizabeth was free. But Michael came back, and Michael was pissed. Man was pissed enough to possess himself. When he says, "There is only one thing left for me to do now," that is the unfinished business tethering him as a ghost. He has one thing left to do on Earth, and it is giving his father some good old karma for sending him to a painful and violent death. His father had kept him entangled in this web of insanity for far too long. Michael was killed because of what his father had done, and because his father had sent him down there, knowing what was going to happen. Once again, William did not set off the scooper himself. That was Ennard, the conglomerate of Elizabeth and the other victims. But they killed Mike because they had been killed by William. After he killed them, they were confused and scared and killed Mike in order to escape their torment. They killed Mike thinking he was William, and thinking they were using their killer's skin to escape. Does this make them completely innocent? No, not really. They killed at least 2 technicians, and God only knows what they were up to in between FNAF 5 and 6. But that does not mean Mike will blame them over William, but he knows William is the one who killed them. William is the one they intended to kill, and William is the one who knew.
And to be fair, I don't think Elizabeth knew he was William. The others might have, but I don't think they actually knew he was William. I mean, she doesn't know that it's William. Plus, she oddly seems like the type to please him in some way. So, no, she's not out for revenge or anything. Because if that was the case, she wouldn't have been kicked out of Ennard. She's as messed up in the head as William Afton. Just saying.
All of this and still sent Mike down to die. He sent Mike down because he did not care about his son, and he was fine with him dying if it meant getting his precious Elizabeth back, or getting his experiments going again, whatever motive you choose to read for him. He sent Michael down into a bunker full of people he killed who wanted revenge on him, and in that way, he killed Mike. So Michael was killed by William's actions. He was angry enough to possess himself about that and track William down. He is the one William should not have killed.
Another thing we know for certain is that he possessed himself for a long-ass time. FNAF 3 is stated to be set 30 years after Freddy's closed. Sister location seems to occur pretty soon after that same closure. Michael walked around as a corpse for potentially decades, without giving up, without moving on, because he knew it was time to find his dad, stop what he was doing, and make him understand the pain he'd been put through. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a very determined and vengeful spirit to me.
I don't think so. You're making it sound like Ennard possessed him for years, when the human body can decay within like a couple months. Oh wait, no. I'm thinking of decomposition, where the body actually loses skin, decays the skin, the muscle, the organs, and all that. Yeah, that kind of thing. I'm thinking of that, not. Okay, I got the 2 mixed up. That's on me. That's on me for being a bit dumb right there. But no. In this case, it would be without anything preserving and decomposure going off. I say like a week? A week or two at most. Yeah, that should be about right. I don't know the correct amount of time. I'm not a doctor or anything.
Honestly, he was a vengeful spirit in the
saying.
games themselves before facing old man consequences and walking backwards into hell.
It is highly speculated and highly likely that Michael was the night guard in FNAF 3. This would retroactively explain Springtrap's odd jump scare, looking for more like confused recognition than outward animosity. And again, the logbook places Foxy, who's heavily associated with Michael, in specifically the FNAF 3 guard position. This would also imply that the fire in FNAF 3 was intentional, in an attempt to fully remove William from the equation. Mike really said, "I'ma set my dad on fire," and then did it more than once like the icon he is.
But where he fails to kill William, Henry picks up. That's right, it's time for Henry to get his ass back in the story! Get on in here! How'd he get out of jail? Fuck if I know. I mean, it seems like he finally pieced together William was the killer, figured out about the possession stuff, and went on a tirade. The question is, did he escape? Serve his sentence? I don't think he served his sentence. Child abduction in Utah is 15 to life, and 5 kids went missing. He ain't getting out of there in time. Good behavior, maybe? I don't know enough about jail. I'm too good about evading the law. Maybe when William tore apart the animatronics, he put the bodies or bones somewhere they got found and identified. Honestly, what we think is most likely is that the cops finally tracked down that secret bunker, saw all the blood and guts, and were like, oh, yeah, it was William. Yeah. But the important thing is Henry gets out, and Henry gets to work.
He figures out about the murders, about the possessions, and that the animatronics are still out there and fucking around. And after spending decades serving for a horrible crime he didn't commit, knowing that is...
Honestly, I don't think it's the case that Henry got arrested. I think he's just was out of the picture for a time after certain events. Like, it could have been the case where if anyone has seen any recent things involving the Fall Festival, then yeah, the Fall Festival in FNAF. Or even the game theory that I did last week. Yeah, if you recall any of that, maybe it was around that time where Henry started to distance himself a bit, and bam, when Charlie got that, it led to Henry becoming depressed and actually stepping away from Fazbear Entertainment for some time, and William used that to do all of his crimes. I believe that is the case of what happened, not Henry going to jail. I mean, they both might have been suspected, William a bit more than Henry, but yeah, that's probably
what
it.
kept him away from his daughter that fateful night. He knows it's time to end it.
So he opens a Freddy's, probably under a fake name considering everything. But he takes that Fazbear package and shops out for a manager while he gets the trap ready. He turns the building into a labyrinth to trap any animatronics that make their way in there. He builds Lefty, or rebuilds him out of Carney, but that's a whole different story, solely to capture the puppet. Wherever the fuck Charlotte's been hiding. Honestly, if I had to guess, she may have been trying to find Cassidy's body all this time, to finish giving gifts and life to the last victim she knew of. As for the other animatronics, we know from a secret dialogue from ScottGames.com that Ennard split into Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy after they decided Elizabeth was kind of a freak and voted to kick her out of the hive mind.
You are crowding us.
Be quiet.
You can't tell us what to do anymore.
Yes, I can. You will do everything that I tell you to do.
We outnumber you.
That doesn't matter, dummy.
We found a way to eject you.
You would be lost without me.
So, say goodbye to our friend.
The split, however, clearly fucked them up quite a bit, as Molten Freddy is nothing but a mess of limbs causing problems, and Scrap Baby has, like Michael before her, reverted to, okay, let's just do whatever Dad says. As Henry references her not remembering her own name, it's likely she's fallen into basic instincts. Attack things that move, keep self alive, make Daddy proud of me. It's been often speculated that she may have had this agenda the whole time, but really, I don't see why she'd kill the guy she thinks is her beloved dad. Ennard's whole plan was to stay in that body. She didn't know how decaying worked. But her dad's here now, too. Say hi to Scrap Trap.
As we discussed in part 3, Scrap Trap definitely seems to have repaired himself from the FNAF free fire using Fredbear's parts. I mean, it's his secret bunker. He goes down there only to find Fredbear is just as still.
Aha, but that's where you're wrong. After looking through the old designs for Golden Bonnie, that is what I'm gonna be calling that character. It is how things are gonna work now. No one can tell me no, because okay, yeah, people can't tell me no. I actually don't have a good reason for that, but still, it is still something one can't ignore in this case. And yeah. Anyway, Golden Bunny actually has that kind of design too, so guess you're wrong.
Still and unmoving as he always thought it was. He never saw it move, never realized Cassidy was in there all along, and it infuriates him enough to finally rip apart the thing that killed his son and stick it to himself.
Only Cassidy is in there, and he's been in that bunker for decades alone and undiscovered. The spirit inside has been wandering the same halls, the same memories, for years upon years, and can't put up a fight. Scraptrap makes his way to the restaurant to continue his reign of terror that started with this suit, with putting Cassidy inside and letting him be broken further in hopes of putting him back together, ruining so many lives in the process, including his, and including Michael's. And he's walking right into Michael and Henry's trap.
When Henry gives his final monologue, he implies that he's figured out who the guard was, and it was someone who he didn't expect. The guard found a job listing not intended for you. Henry didn't know what happened to Michael, and he didn't want to bring him into this, just hoping he'd moved on with his life. Unbeknownst to him, Michael was unable to, and so he found the Freddy's location with familiar animatronics in the back alley and Henry's voice on the tapes, and took the job knowing how it would end. Henry says he left a way for the guard to escape, but realized that he's where he wants to be. This means that Henry was not in communication with Michael, but figured out his intentions there pretty quick. And yes, Michael intended to follow Henry's plan and free all of them in a fire. But he wasn't going to let his dad go that easily. Sure, he let the other spirits leave. He let his and his dad's spirits leave. He'd been a dying body for years, and Scraptrap couldn't remain to cause any more harm. But Michael had spent decades living in the shadows, surviving off of one sole goal. He was a walking corpse fueled by the hatred of his father. He's been hunting him the whole time, and he's not letting him go now. So he follows his soul to hell and takes control. He tailors a torture just for him.
And if you ask, how can he do that? Same could be said for Cassidy. They're ghosts now, they can just do things, I guess.
Of the few things we know about the vengeful spirit and ultimate custom night, we know that it was a victim of Williams, and that he had been in the FNAF 6 fire.
He's here and always watching. The one he shouldn't have killed. Greetings from the fire and from the one you should not have killed.
He refers to Henry in the third person, saying,
He tried to release you. He tried to release us. But I'm not gonna let that happen. I will hold you here. I will keep you here. No matter how many times they burn us.
This means the spirit is not Henry. It's not Elizabeth, who was on her dad's side at the time she finally died for real. We also know it's not Charlotte.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
Whether she's talking to the player or the spirit running the hell is unclear, but stay out of my way is a hell of a thing to say to someone you yourself are keeping prisoner. Scratch Charlie.
The only other people in that fire were the Molten MCI, about half the remains of Cassidy, and Michael himself. As we mentioned, it doesn't make narrative sense for the super powerful, vengeful spirit to be random kid we never talk about. Cassidy is a solid maybe. But the evidence for Michael? Ooh boy.
It doesn't track in a narrative sense for the big good to be some background character, but to have it be the son of the killer, the victim of his lifelong abuse who was killed brutally because of him, to have the spirit attacking the story's villain over and over be the character we have been playing as for several games. We were Michael for FNAF, if not all of them. If he was Fritz Smith, we played as him in FNAF 2. He could have been the guard in FNAF 3. He knows Nightmare Fredbear, so he went through FNAF 4 like we did. He was definitely the protag in 5 and 6. We've been Michael the whole time. So why stop now? Why not end the series with the man we began it with? Why not end Afton's reign by the hand of the one who, no matter how accidentally, started it?
Symmetry, my friend!
Who the hell?
Michael checks several boxes of what we know of the spirit. He was in the fire, he blames William for his death, he's pissed as hell, and he's determined enough to be the one that William should not have killed. As mentioned, that's not a morality assessment, it's a statement of this is the one that was going to come back and get you at the end. And he said, over and over, I am going to come find you.
I'm going to come find you.
The only thing that doesn't 100% line up is the spirit being portrayed as a child, but even then, there's a ton of explanations. Either using Cassidy's likeness as part of his taunt, or he's reverted into his younger self. The little boy who got abused and neglected and locked into nightmares. The little boy who died with Cassidy. Now think of important lines in Ultimate Custom Night.
Shh. I've been looking for you, and now I will never let you go. You knew I'd get you eventually. I'm going to come find you. When I'm here, you play by my rules. This time, death cannot save you.
Really interesting that Nightmare Fredbear uses the phrase "put you back together," something Michael quoted directly back to his father.
Let me put you back together, then take you apart all over again.
Speaking of the nightmares, most of them have lines relating to, guess what? I'm real this time. Almost like the spirit is someone who'd seen the monsters back when they weren't real. But they're real now, and just for Will.
I assure you, I am very real. I am given flesh to be your tormentor. This time, there is more than an illusion to fear.
But most importantly, Nightbear, overlaid with the voice of the vengeful spirit itself, says,
This is how it feels, and you get to experience it over and over and over again, forever. I will never let you leave.
This one is definitely attributed to the spirit, as its voice is overlaid. What is it exactly? Death? No, William knows how it felt to die. He got killed by the Springlocks. He doesn't need a personal hell to tell him that. Instead, he needs to be told how it felt to play FNAF. Michael went through at least 3 of the 6 games, most likely all 6, over and over and over again. The vengeful spirit knows how it feels to be in this office. The MCI wouldn't know that. Charlotte wouldn't know that. Michael would. Because Michael was almost always the main character. The entire series has been him chasing his father, and now his father has to deal with what he made Michael deal with.
But why, you ask? Wouldn't he just let William's soul pass on? Surely, no, he'd just go to hell? That's eternal torment already. Sure, yeah, let's assume that. But Michael doesn't just want William to go to hell. He wants to torture him himself. He's been hunting him for decades, and he wants his vengeance. Revenge is a funny emotion. It is anger that demands an outlet. When you've selected an outlet and that outlet is not available to you, the pain does not go away. Michael's been looking for his outlet for a while, and once he has it...
Yeah, I mean, I get the reason, but now, honestly, with everything that's put together about Michael Afton's character, it really doesn't fit. Unless, like, some twist it is, but I see him more sitting back and just allowing Cassidy to go ahead and let her have a go at it, but within time not really agreeing to it simply because it's gonna prevent others from not being able to rest peacefully. Just saying.
He will not let him go. He's going to make him suffer, as his father made him suffer through his entire life and afterlife. He didn't get to be the one to burn his father, so he's going to be here to burn him over and over and over again. Which is what leads to the Old Man Consequences scene. If you select nothing but Old Man Consequences in Ultimate Custom Night, you get a cutscene referencing FNAF World, in which your pixelated self approaches Old Man Consequences fishing at the lake. The man says,
"Come and sit with me for a while."
If you do, he says,
"Leave the demon to his demons. Rest your own soul. There is nothing else."
Also note that if you speed up the background audio, you can hear screaming, which sounds an awful lot like Henry Michael Help. There's been theories that Old Man Consequences is Henry. They speak in a similar manner with similar sentence structures and vocabulary.
In general, with the flip side under account, and seeing how these motifs are so closely associated with Henry, I have a hunch that Henry is Old Man Consequences.
And if we go with Raito's theory that FNAF World is Charlie's way of helping the children pass on, it would make sense for him to help her. His daughter won't move on until everyone can, so he is there to help her. And he will sit at the lake and wait for Michael, a child he once knew, to tell him to rest like the rest of them, which would imply that when William is screaming for help in the cutscene, He is screaming to the two people who are actually there, the two people in the cutscene: Henry, the Old Man Consequences, and Michael, the Vengeful Spirit.
Anyway, what happens when you speak to Old Man Consequences? Well, the game will crash. Because that's the thing about revenge. Once you get it, it doesn't stop the anger. It does not stop the pain. Michael is in an eternal cycle, able to take out his anger on his father as much as he wants for as long as he wants, over and over. But it is not soothing his soul. It is not quelling 30 years of anger, 40 years of anger, however long he's been angry. It is not giving his soul the rest he needs. William will be tormented with or without him, and he needs to move on from his father's hell. But Michael does not think he deserves to. Let's look at one of Withered Bonnie's lines.
What is this new prison? Is it me trap or is it you? Perhaps it's us both.
Let us not forget one thing. Michael did help kill the crying.
In all honesty, I don't think there's gonna be a solid ending to that. Plus, I don't know, while Michael would do it, I think sooner or later he would understand when to stop. Now, if it was a child, even if that child has an adult mentality, even if that child was as smart as a adult, they would, I forgot where I was going with this. Well, an adult will know when to stop, and while that stop may be for a while, a child would do it relentlessly without any sort of mercy, and will do it in an unreasonable fashion. Because even if, let's put it this way, even though they are there for like over 30 years and whatnot, those missing children are still children. Like, they could have a lot of knowledge, they could be as smart as an adult. Like, they could have an IQ of 150, 250, and whatnot. The matter of the fact is, they're not mentally grown. They're still children. So, in the end, they're going to fall to childish mentality. Like, the reasoning of a child at times. Because that's who they are. They haven't grown into adults. They're not teens or anything. They're children. So, if they're just annoyed that they're not feeling something different, like feeling the satisfaction of revenge, they're going to try multiple ways so they can figure out how to make that satisfaction happen. Because that's the thing about revenge. Depending on your mentality and all that, you're going to think, hey, this is going to be a good feeling and all that. But no, in revenge, well, there's nothing. Sure, I had my small petty revenges, and they're nothing compared to real revenges, but in the end, sure, we're okay with it for a second and all that. Heck, if it's justifiable revenge, like, say that there's this huge asshole running around and messing with people, and you just want them to stop, and you want them to be actually reported and all that, and like, there's people that aren't even doing something about it. That's unfair to everyone, and that's gonna be like a justifiable revenge, since you're bringing justice and revenge to the same thing. So, but anyway, compared to all that, a revenge where you end up killing someone, you're taking someone's life and all that. Sure, you're gonna be okay for like a second or two, but as the story goes, no matter what, it's gonna end up making you hollow. There are tons of stories where everyone thinks that the revenge is going to be a-okay, but in the end, in every story, in every tale, in everything, sure, all of us, everyone, will think that revenge is going to be the solution. It's going to be the solving factor. It's going to be all that. But in this case, especially one where the person gets to come back repeatedly, it's not. I mean, look at it this way. For these children, they're expecting that killing William, that torturing him and all this and all that, giving him the same pain will, like, solve everything. Solve their death, solve everything about all the wrongs that they were forced to endure. It's not. Solve their death? Nope. They're still dead. They're still stuck in animatronics. They're still, like, there. Am I saying they should forgive him? No. I don't know the proper answer to this one. Honestly, there isn't a proper answer. But doing an eye for an eye, that's their decision. I can't give the right answer on this matter. Am I gonna say revenge is going to be a satisfying thing? No, it's not. It never will be. That is the sad truth. If anyone thinks revenge is going to be the solitary thing, the one thing to bring someone happy. It usually isn't, because depending on what the person did and the type of revenge you're doing, well, that depends on that whole matter. Like, if you saw some of the revenge stuff I've reacted to, a lot of those were justifiable, and they're not to the point of ending someone's life in some way. But in this case, getting revenge on someone and taking their life for something never really goes well, especially if you're obsessed with it. There is gonna be no pleasure in the end. You're just gonna be satisfied for like a bit, and then hollow. The thing about revenge is, if you focus solitary on it, you're never gonna have any satisfaction, happiness, or anything after that. If you gave up everything just for that revenge, you got nothing. They need to find the peace they need. Sure, getting their revenge would be okay. I can't say for sure. I'm not a doctor, not a psychiatrist, or anything like that. But yeah,
child, and
I
the
think you
number
get
that
it.
must have done on his mental health is exponential. We know from the epilogue of the game how devastated he was. When William reached out to him to bring Elizabeth back, as we mentioned, a possibility of redemption for Cassidy may have been the dangling carrot in front of him. But it didn't bring back his siblings. It just caused more problems, and caused Michael to shamble around as a zombie for decades. There's probably some part of him that thinks he deserves this as much as William does. It may have ultimately been William's fault. Michael may have acted out because of how William treated his children. He may have been the one to create Fredbear's Diner, but Michael was the one who shoved his brother into a bear's mouth. Michael dragged his dad to hell and then trapped himself there, supposedly in order to torment him over and over again. But instead, he's tormenting himself over and over because he still blames himself and is punishing himself for what he did. Is it me trapped, or is it you, he asks. Perhaps it's us both. This is a torment cycle for both of them. William is obviously getting the shit beaten out of his soul, but Michael isn't doing too hot either. That's why Old Man Consequences tells him to leave William and rest his own soul. Michael doesn't think he deserves to, which is why he won't. The theme music of Ultimate Custom Night, or at least the menu music, is entitled Isoptrophobia, which is a fear of mirrors and reflections. Could this be referring to Michael fearing looking in the mirror and seeing his father, or seeing a robot or corpse instead? Or could this be referring to William refusing to reflect on himself, on the horrible things he's done? This is the theme of the entire game. It's got to be important that it's named this. William's hell is seeing all his crimes and mistakes reflected back at him. He sees the monster he's become. He sees himself as Springtrap and Scraptrap. He sees his murders, he sees his failures, and when he completes 50-20 mode, he sees the moment he killed the son he promised to put back together. That scene of Fredbear twitching is not saying that Golden Freddy is the spirit. It's showing us the spring-locking of Cassidy, and that's not all it is. When William completes 50-20 mode, he is greeted with the vision of the worst mistake of his life. And what's the best/worst part? Michael is showing this to him. Michael, who had done everything he said in life. And why? Because he killed Cassidy. In a way, he did, of course, but Cassidy didn't die from the bite. He died from what William did to him after. William was the one who killed Cassidy and then gaslit Michael into wallowing in guilt for his entire life. And in finding out his father was the one who killed Cassidy, Michael was able to realize that his father was behind everything else. All this to say, this doesn't mean that Michael is going to stay in hell forever. That's a pretty downer ending for our protagonist. We have to remember that Old Man Consequences is there too. He tells Michael to leave and rest. He has the possibility to do so. He can do so. And one day he may. And with Golden Freddy telling him over and over that it's me, reaching out to him again and again, I think his little brother may be the one to bring him to peace, to ease his soul and put him to rest.
And narratively, doesn't it feel complete to have the same protagonist in the first and last of the game of the original timeline? Speaking again of narrative significance, what is the point of Michael? What's the payoff for I'm going to come find you if he just lets William go at the end via Henry's hand? Why introduce him, imply he's the main character of most of the games, and then just kill him immediately? The reason is that Michael is the through line of all of these games. We start these games as Michael, we end it as Michael. Just as all of this started with Michael and William's sins against Cassidy, and ended with their hell for each other.
As for the other spirits, William is, as deserved, suffering eternally for his crimes against humanity. I really want to draw attention, though, to the Sisyphean imagery of Ultimate Custom Night here. The original tale of Sisyphus has him drawing the ire of the gods for killing his guests, but then evading death by locking it in a chest. Even after death escapes the chest, Sisyphus manages to escape once more, but he can't run forever, and when he finally falls to the underworld, he is punished by doing the same task over and over. Sisyphus really be playing 50-20 mode every night, huh?
One must imagine Sisyphus as a yellow rabbit.
And for the children, I mentioned FNAF World earlier, and that really does seem to be the key to freeing the other kids. When Charlotte says, "You need to stay out of my way," it's because she's working on something she can't have angry spirits messing with. What she's working on is freeing the kids, and specifically, Cassidy's spirit. The secret minigames you are meant to complete in FNAF World are, very clearly, setting up the minigames of FNAF 3. The minigames which unlock the happiest day, in which Golden Freddy's spirit gets to have a birthday party. These minigames may or may not be diegetic, but they show how Charlie prepared to set Cassidy free. She collected the other children's souls, shepherding them back after the fire freed them from Ennard but kept them lost. Then they all, together, worked to finally free Cassidy. In We Solved the Ghosts of Freddy's, Rytos brings up that the end of FNAF World involves the player going into the middle of the woods, and then the game suddenly ending. Their interpretation is that it's not just any spot in the woods. It's the crying child's unmarked grave. All of FNAF World was finally finding Cassidy's body and allowing him to rest. They find his body, they open the chest, and they give him a party. The party was for you.
The player in FNAF World is probably Cassidy, being shepherded by the images of Fredbear and promises of being put back together. And it works. Though it didn't happen during the FNAF 3 fire, the happiest day either did or will happen. Charlotte brought all the kids together for a final celebration, to give Cassidy the birthday he was denied, and then the balloons drift into the wind, and the spirits move on. All of the kids are safe, so Charlie is safe now too, and with her father. The only one left to move on is Michael, and that's where we leave the pre-Steel Wool story, with the question of whether he will give up his useless pursuit of revenge or fall deeper into the rabbit hole. It ends with a hand extended to Michael, and the question of whether or not he will take it.
But that's not where FNAF's story ends, oh no!
We got more games to merchandise, y'all!
Help Wanted is about to drop and some wild shit's gonna go down.
But that'll be for another video, or videos. God, probably so many videos.
Oh my god.
With a lot more wild speculation, and a
Yeah, that's like, honestly, the main thing. When you try to do FNAF's content, you're gonna get a lot of ideas.
lot less this all fits together like a puzzle. But we
Gregory ain't a robot.
But we do want to discuss something. Just one more thing before we finish this essay. And that is...
The fanon version of Cassidy is, well, very popular within the fan base. And why wouldn't she be? We all love vengeful, angry little girls. But honestly, I don't think that's the reason she took off to the point we all forgot she wasn't canon. That was mainly from, pardon the pun, the joy of creation. Fanon Cassidy was a group effort, a fandom baby made from their love of the story being told to them. The love of the tragedy of it all, and of the parts of the story left untold for us to discover on our own. Cassidy, the vengeful Fredbear ghost, is a collective character, and while, as we well established, we don't believe she's canon, we do believe she's special. And we think Scott Cawthon and Steel Wool agreed that she's, well, pretty friggin' cool. Obviously, we can't say for sure, we don't live in their vents.
Though we would if they let us.
Except, that character is canon now. That is Cassidy. I mean, that description was given to Cassidy in the books, the original trilogy, if I remember correctly. The Silver Eyes, the Fourth Closet, and whatnot. One of those two. I think it was the Fourth Closet. I don't know for sure, as I said. But yeah, that's her description. That's Cassidy.
Us.
But let's look at some of the elements of the fanon's Cassidy and see, well, if it describes a certain someone who has been introduced within the Glitch Trap era.
Cassidy is a little girl with dark pigtails. She's a bit hot-headed, a bit socially inept, but she has a heart and a drive for justice above all else. And now she has been wronged, and several other people have been wronged by the same entity. She won't let that stand. She's going to do whatever it takes to make sure justice is served. And if not justice, then vengeance.
What do you like to do for fun?
Vengeance.
Getting a little dark.
Also, she is very close friends with a little brunette boy in a striped shirt, scattered band-aids, and a long-standing, suspicious connection to a golden-colored Freddy Fazbear. That's right. Cassidy the Vengeful Spirit may not be canon, but you know who is?
That was too close. I was almost a Cassie sandwich.
You literally were almost a Cassie sandwich, buddy. What the?
Cassie is going to be Canon Cassidy. She's got the hair, including the little ball hair ties that are popular throughout fan art. She's got the golden duo dynamic, though it's a bit reversed, with Gregory being the one to first comfort her and being a more scrappy, go-getter action kid. But she's still a loner. She's still got a deep empathy for those other people might not. She sees the animatronic suffering and feels bad for them. She wants to help them, and she wants justice. But, well, whether her vengeance quest will be directed at the program that caused all this destruction or at the boy she thinks pushed her down the elevator shaft remains to be seen.
And here's another thing. I think her name actually is Cassidy, not just Cassandra or some other variant. Most of our theories about her role in the story will be for another essay, but here's something important to note. Her father is most likely the player character of Help Wanted 2. That's not a special opinion, most of the fandom agrees on that by now. Another thing we're really agreeing on is that this player, her father, is connected to a certain Bonnie mask. When her father sees an old one, he remarks that it looks familiar. When Cassie finds one, she asks, "What happened to you?" The mask reminds her of her missing dad. The mask is very important in connection to her father. You know who else had a Bonnie mask? And an additional question, who else has a nearly identical color scheme? When asked what makes you so special in Help Wanted 2, the player is prompted to think about what indeed makes Cassie's dad so special. What makes him so special among the other Faz technicians is that he was there. He was there when the original Cassidy died. He helped shove him into an animatronic mouth. He helped start this whole thing. And now he passes the rabbit mask of trauma onto his daughter Cassidy, whom he named after the original Cassidy Afton, letting her fall into the hands of a creature that just loves to make the past repeat. There may not be two Golden Freddy spirits, but there are two Cassidys.
Maybe just keep her away from Prototype Freddy's stomach teeth for now.
Okay, yeah, we got that done. We're done with the whole thing. No need to go through the credits or anything. Yeah, there's literally nothing. See? Fair. Makes sense. Anyway, yeah, with all this said, honestly, it's overall a good theory on the game. Not a bad one, but no matter what, I can't say that the crying child is Cassidy, and I can't say Michael Afton is the vengeful spirit, no matter what. I mean, there's proof and evidence to prove that Cassidy is this random Cassidy that we're going on about. I mean, the character was described in the books, was given the name Cassidy, and so on and so forth. Like, to the point that, like, even the description and knowledge of William Afton was canonized into the games, especially when you consider Michael Afton and the Crying Child's appearance, because obviously Elizabeth's design came more from her mother, unless she had like amber brown hair. Oh wait, that could be the color. No, that wouldn't make sense. Hair color's weird, but then again, you can get it from the genetics. Actually, Michael Afton ended up with brown hair in the end, so technically he probably dyed his hair black when he was a teen or a kid, because that would be a thing that people would think would be cool around that time period, would they? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, yeah, on to the main thing. Like, no, I don't see the Crying Child or Michael Afton being like the main ones to be actually Cassidy and the Vengeful Spirit. That makes no sense in my personal experience, or even with all the information. It's very contradicting just to claim that these two characters are Cassidy and the Vengeful Spirit when Cassidy and the Vengeful Spirit are one and the same. I mean, it's been proven time and time again. It makes no sense just to do that. Plus, we have audio logs things that Scott put up, multiple other clues and evidence to point to the fact that this character is a kid. The vengeful spirit is a kid. Who's a kid? The missing children. What's related to the missing children that's probably left still standing? This one character named Cassidy. Honestly, it makes no sense to say that Michael or the crying child is this one character who is one and the same with the vengeful spirit persona, because Cassidy and the vengeful spirit are one and the same. So, yeah, there's enough proof to show that two people can possess an animatronic. Overall, this isn't a bad timeline. Honestly, I think it more fits with the more current information we have, but I can't say, no matter what, that the crying child is Cassidy. And I can't say Michael Afton is the vengeful spirit. It doesn't fit Michael Afton's memoir, whatever is the correct word to use for personality traits and whatnot. It just doesn't make sense. So, with this all said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think about this whole thing in the comment section below. I don't think there's nothing to prove that that the crying child and Michael Afton are who these two claim they are at all. But the timeline, it would kind of make sense, actually, if you don't count the stuff involving the crying child being Cassie or Michael Afton being the vengeful spirit. Plus, I don't think Henry got arrested. I think he was more suspected to be a part of it and had to back out while he was under investigation for a while, and then got into depression and all that, while William Afton was also under suspicion and observation and whatnot. At least that's what I think is the situation here. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when a video comes out. And yeah, with this all said, hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!